We are talking about equations of a circle, and we want to be able to identify the center and radius from the equations of a circle. So remember, we have the base formula, and notice that our included sign inside the parentheses is always negative. So that's going to be a hint to help us remember what's happening. And the radius is always squared on the end. So when we go to solve this, we want to rewrite this equation in a way that's going to help us better remember. So the things that never change. So we're always going to have an x, a minus, a squared, a plus, a y, a minus, a squared, and then the radius is always going to be squared. So we can remember that that is going to be r squared there. So here we have, how would we make this plus 2 from a negative sign? And the only way that we could make this plus 2 is if we had another negative sign. So we're going to have negative 2 plugged in there. Then we have y minus 5. And because that's already minus 5, we can just write down 5 exactly. So that's going to give us our center point. So our center point is going to be just what we had written down there, where our center point is going to be at negative 2. And notice that we just wrote it down correctly, so that's just going to be 5. So that's our center point. Now we have to calculate our radius. Our radius squared is equal to 36, so we can just write that down. So r squared is equal to 36. And then how would we solve that? We can take the square root of both sides of the equation, and we get r is equal to 6. So then we have our radius, and then we have our center point. We have another example here, part B. Part B here, and we have x squared plus y minus 10 squared is equal to 100. So again, write this equation very quickly, and I'm going to say x, I'm going to include the minus sign, squared, plus, I'm going to include the y minus, leave a blank there, squared, and that is going to be equal to r squared. So I'm going to substitute in the values that we know. What would make this x minus something become x squared? And the way that that would be is going to be 0. Okay, so x minus 0 squared, and then we have plus y minus 10. So we can just write that one down as 10. And so that gives us our center point. Our center point is going to be 0, negative 10. And our radius, we're going to do the same thing, where our radius squared is equal to 100. And we solve that by taking the square root of both sides. So we get r is equal to 10. So then we have our radius is 10, and our center point is 0, should be positive 10, because the negative is always there, so we didn't have to add a negative, so this should be positive 10, 0, positive 10.